Welcome, everybody, to episode 2 of the Canuckleheads Offseason podcast. My name's Justin. I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Wes. And let's get right into some news here. June 27th, 2022, Canucks announced that they've re-signed Sheldon Dries, Brisebois, and I have John? What the fuck is that? Two-way contracts? I don't know what that's supposed to be. I was in a rush, I guess. But Dries, we talked about. We both really liked him when we were grading.
I do.
And I'm happy to have him back for another year.
Yeah.
July 1st, 2022, Canucks announced that they re-signed Jack Rathbone to a one-way contract. They re-signed Noah Juleson and William Lockwood to two-way contracts.
Young William.
Nice to see them locked up a little bit. Especially with Lockwood to get the two-way, right? So you can bring him up and down as needed. Yeah. He's, shown he's got some experience in the NHL. So
yeah, and he's got a physical edge to his game, which I love.
And I like the Noah Juleson signing too. I think he's a pretty solid depth defenseman. It's getting close to that time where he is what he is kind of thing, but to have him in Abbotsford or on Vancouver for a call-up, I'm not mad at it at all.
No.
July 1st, 2022, Brock Boeser signs a 3-year extension, $6.65 million.
Let's go.
Great deal.
Great deal for all parties involved.
Yeah. This, I think it was a slight raise on his last contract.
Yeah, it's a slight raise, which, I mean, he did have a tough season, personally and professionally, and I think this is a great deal for him to just kind of prove he's going to be due for another raise, is all I'm trying to say, after the 3 years. I don't think we've even seen the best Brock Boeser yet. I think there's more to come.
Yeah, I like this signing a lot. I think Boeser is a legitimate top-line winger. Mm-hmm. And now, with everything hopefully kind of, I don't want to say he moved on from, but he's less distracted. He's able to just go focus on playing hockey, and hopefully he's happier. And I mean, obviously he's not happier without his dad, but you know what I mean? He's just...
He can move on now.
Yeah. And it's kind of...
It's not a dark cloud hanging over his head.
Yeah, you can just go focus on playing.
Yeah, exactly. He's my favorite player, so I'm glad we locked him up for another 3.
Yeah, and 6.65 is great.
Great. Him and Demko are on steals right now.
Yeah, good deals there. July 1st, 2022, the Canucks announce new coaching hires. Trent Call has been promoted from Abbotsford. He's going to be running the defense and the penalty kill. Formerly the Abbotsford head coach in the AHL. So
nice to see a guy get bumped up.
Yeah, it's cool when the organization does that, right? You don't just have some coaches stuck forever in one spot. So we also hired Mike Yao, was the Philadelphia Flyers interim head coach last year after they fired Alain Vigneault. He's an assistant coach. Jeremy Colishin, I think is how you say it, is the new head coach of Abbotsford, so he's taken over for Trent Call. Was the head coach in Chicago for a little while there. Probably got rightfully or unjustly fired because that team is trash, and
not his fault.
Yeah, he had to work with the garbage that was left over there. Bradshaw is leaving the organization to go coach in Philly with Torts. I guess they're good buddies from back in the day, so kind of sucks there. I guess Bradshaw was pretty clutch when Travis Green and everybody were getting let go. So
yeah, sometimes it's nice to get a new voice behind the bench, though. So.
Yeah, and if he's getting a promotion too, then good for the guy. You can't really blame him.
Nope.
July 5th, 2022, the Canucks preseason schedule was released, and then I have some pictures of that here, so we'll go over some of the dates. So the first preseason game, September 25th, against the Calgary Flames. There's going to be 2. They're doing split squad games. So there'll be a game in Calgary and a game in Vancouver. So
okay.
Or maybe somewhere in BC or Alberta.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if it's... September 29th against the Kraken. October 1st against the Kraken. October 3rd against Edmonton. October 5th against Edmonton. October 7th against the Arizona Coyotes. So a good couple preseason games there. It's kind of crazy. We're recording this, July 17th today?
Yeah, I think so.
As much as I miss hockey and want it back, it feels like it's coming up really quick.
It does. And I was just saying to Justin yesterday, I already want hockey to be back, and it's just around the corner, which is nice.
Yeah, it's crazy that we're halfway through July. I don't know, it feels like it was July 1st yesterday.
Yeah.
So on to some more news here. July 7th, 2022, the Canucks draft Jonathan Lekkerimäki, right winger out of Djurgården. In the SHL, I'm sorry. It's all...
No, your pronunciations are way better than mine, so...
It's Swedish names, and...
Yeah, tough.
I'm very un-Swedish.
Tough.
So, 15th overall. There was talks that this was a steal. There's talks that, like obviously every prospect has things to work on, right? Yeah. Like if you're not 1, 2, or 3, usually you're going back to work on your game. Scoring is not an issue with this guy. The hands are not an issue. No. Some skating, but it feels like that's every prospect, right?
I heard from like some scouts were saying that he was the best pure sniper in the entire draft.
Yeah.
So for us to get him as late as we did was an absolute steal. He was projected to go higher than that. So, I mean, once again, our draft comes through clutch and we get a legitimate goal scorer.
Yeah, I've heard lots of people say that he has the best or the second best shot in this entire draft class. Yeah. So, a Swedish sniper to play with a certain Swedish centerman that we have. Speaking of certain Swedish centermen, in the 3rd round, the Canucks draft lefty D-man Elias Pettersson. EP32, the new boy in town. I'll just go over the picks here too. In the 4th round, they drafted center Damon Gardner. 5th round, goalie Ty Young, which I found weird because everything I heard about this draft was that it was a train wreck for goalies. Yeah. So when the Canucks pick a goalie, I usually tend to trust them. They always have a way of developing all these prospect goalies.
100%.
So I'm not entirely sure what to make of this one, but we'll see.
Yep.
In the 6th round, they drafted Jackson Dorrington, and then in the 7th round, they drafted a defenseman, Kirill Kudryavtsev.
Yeah, some tough names in there.
Jackson Dorrington, also a left-handed defenseman. So it's hard, right, to get excited or disappointed over this draft. The only thing that I wish is that we would have picked up a righty defenseman somewhere.
Yeah.
There's just nothing.
It's such a tough, it's so hard to come by right shot defenseman right now. Yeah,
that's the hardest thing to find, and like a top pairing one, or like a guy that projects to be top pairing.
Yeah.
Lekkerimäki, I'm excited for.
Me too. I'm pumped for him.
The way the Canucks are right now, right? Like there isn't really a wrong pick for prospects. Like they need help everywhere. So best player available in the Canucks' eyes. But again, just weird that it was all lefty defensemen. But still, you need them.
It is what it is. And just the Elias Pettersson thing. And then there was a Jack Hughes that got drafted too. Just such a weird draft.
Yeah. The Elias Pettersson one was so weird. We were at work when the draft was going on, day 2. And we had it on in the lunchroom on the TV. And my buddy called me. He's like, Justin, check out who the Canucks just drafted. So I pop open Twitter. I'm like, what?
He got redrafted.
Yeah, and then I look at it's a D-man, weird.
Yeah.
But only time will tell what happens here. So hopefully it was a good first pick for our new GM there, Patrick Alvan. July 8th, 2022, the Canucks announce prospect development camp rosters. This went on, it's over now, so it happened I think the day after the draft or the 2 days later.
Mm-hmm.
Some interesting guys just of note that I'll list that'll be there. Niels Amon, Arshdeep Bains, 2 guys that we signed to just contracts after their seasons ended. Linus Karlsson was going to be there, the SHL player who broke Petey's goal scoring records.
Yeah.
So it was interesting to see him. Danilo Klimovich was going to be there. Lekkerimäki was going to be there.
Yeah, which I think this camp just wrapped up.
It did a couple days ago. Yeah. Ty Smith was going to be there, or Ty Young, sorry, the new goalie. Archer Seelovs.
Just competitive young players going toe-to-toe.
Yeah. Philip Johnson, also another guy we just signed. I believe he was the former first-round pick from the Wild, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, just some interesting names that were at this camp. And usually there are, right? There's always a high-end prospect or something. But I don't know. There are a lot of guys that we signed outside of the draft or that weren't drafted that I was excited to see. So. Yeah.
No, I feel excited about the young group right now. I feel like we have some really talented players that could definitely do some good things in Abbotsford.
And a lot of guys that, I'll be honest, I've never seen any of these guys play. So
me neither.
We'll see how they stack up in between themselves.
Yeah, you just kind of trust the draft team and what they're doing, and then you hear where guys are kind of projected, and then you kind of just go from there.
So July 11th, 2022, Canucks prospect development camp started. The Sedins were on the ice. Chris Higgins, Mike Komisarek. Great. have all these NHLers on the ice to teach these kids and help them out.
I seen they had a Sedin on each bench too. I was like, yes, this is the best.
The final scrimmage there.
Yeah.
From everything I heard about the camp, it was just mostly drills, right? They had the scrimmage at the end, but other than that, it was just kind of like practices, basically. Just kind of seeing where they're at and seeing their skill levels and everything. Also, nice to have some actual hockey in
just
July.
To see something,
July 13th, 2022, free agent frenzy begins, and the Vancouver Canucks sign Curtis Lazar to a 3-year deal, $1 million per season. Right-handed centerman who kills penalties. I love this signing.
Yeah, me too.
You get your fourth-line center locked up for 3 years at $1 million. That's perfect. That's what we wanted the entire time since Jay Beagle was our fourth-line center.
Yep.
Making $3 million.
Way too much money. Yeah, and that was kind of the Jim Benning era, was guys making too much money.
Overpayment for players where you can, where it's relatively easy to find somebody cheap, right? Like you can usually always go out and find a fourth liner somewhere.
Yeah, and you got to pick a guy that doesn't take stupid penalties, that can work on the penalty kill. Like it's one of those things you got to make smart picks and pay them the right money, and they did that here. And
to get a righty too, like the Canucks, I think ran 4 left-handed centermen, I think, for all last year,
and we're all some of the top guys in the league for face-offs. So
that's true.
We have some beasts at center.
So the Canucks also signed Wyatt Kalynuk to a 1-year deal. Lefty D-man, 25 years old. This was a 2-way deal. Then later in the free agency frenzy on Wednesday, they signed Ilya Mikheyev to a 4-year, $4.7 million contract.
This one I was excited about.
I was too, and very unexpected. Usually you hear like rumblings like, oh, the Canucks are after this guy or this, like these couple guys.
There was no rumblings.
I heard nothing that they were in on Mikheyev.
It was kind of out of left field, and I was pumped about it, and all I hear online is, oh, overpayment, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, like for what he put up last year, if he can replicate that, he's paid what he should be.
Yeah. Be hard because he had an unnaturally high shooting percentage last year, way higher than his career average. Wes and I talked about this yesterday. We went golfing and we talked a lot of Canucks because that's what we do.
Yeah.
This contract, as well as every contract, it's hard to separate just the offense, right? Like if you're paying this guy 4.47, but you know he's going to score you 20 goals every year, you don't look at it as like that's a shitty deal, right?
No, and this is a guy who creates chaos on the ice, from what I hear.
Is a great penalty killer.
Speed for days. Like, that's what this team needs. Yeah. So, I mean, he's going to fill out a good role. We're going to talk about projected lineups later on, but, like, he's paid like a second-line guy right now, so I want to see him on the second line doing damage.
And, like, the penalty kill was so awful last year. Yeah. Like, you have to...
You got to add some pieces, especially with Mott gone.
Yeah.
Like, that was probably our best penalty killer. So, hidden gem, Tyler Mott.
And, like, this signing, right, Mikheyev is instantly our fastest player, right? Like, there's that clip where it's Toronto-Edmonton, and it's McDavid and Mikheyev racing for the puck, and Mikheyev is right there with him the whole way. Like, that's some speed.
He's no joke.
So, it'll be a different contract for sure. I have a tough time seeing him being a 20-goal scorer every year, this deal.
Yeah.
But again, it's the whole package that he brings.
Yeah.
So,
and it was kind of like what I was saying with Justin too. Like, there's no talk, like if there was a bit of a bidding war, like who knows why it ended up being 4.7. I think 4 would have been even like a good number to stop at.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is what it is. Garland makes like 5, I think. So, I mean, if he can do any, like put up numbers like Garland, that's fine by me.
For me, that's a stretch. Like, just for, like...
Let's see what he can do. I'm not
saying it's not possible.
It's a gamble. It's totally a gamble, but I'm okay with it.
Me too, because it's everything they were lacking that they bring in with him.
And it's like I told my buddy at work. He was like, oh, overpaid, this and that. And he's a Toronto fan. Of course, he's pissed about it. But I said, like, we were stuck with Louis Eriksson, $6 million. We got a guy for 4.7 that...
is useful.
Louis Eriksson can't hit an empty net. He can't. And Mikheyev apparently is the empty net king. So, I mean, we're already winning there.
Tanner and Bo might have something to say about that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
July 14th, 2022, the Canucks signed Christian Wolanin, 27-year-old, 6'2", 190-pound defenseman, to a 1-year deal. Another left side guy, but I'm not mad about this. I remember, like, I noticed him, like, when he would play with the Kings against the Canucks, and I always thought he had a pretty decent game. Like,
Yeah.
it never stood out to me for the wrong reasons. I don't remember him ever getting burned by Petey or anybody like that.
Yeah.
So good depth signing.
Yeah.
And that brings us to right now where there's kind of nothing going on.
Bit of a lull.
Yeah, I think everybody was expecting a big JT Miller trade at the deadline. I was. I think a lot of people were disappointed that he wasn't traded, but if it's hard to judge too, right? Because we don't know what Alvin's talking about. Like, maybe there just wasn't a good offer.
And that's like, I listened to an interview with Alvin, and it kind of sounded like we expect him to be in camp. Like, there wasn't any serious offers. It was kind of just feeler outers, which we don't want a Johnny Gaudreau situation here.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it might happen late, or maybe like it's a tough thing. Like, I don't think it's going to be anytime soon.
Yeah, there's still definitely chances to move him. And like, there's still a couple big name free agents out there. So I think we're waiting on that to see, but I expect him to be shipped out at some point.
Yeah. There's not a ton of money out there right now, it seems. So you'd expect picks plus something.
Yeah. And at this point, like, might be a trade deadline thing too.
Yeah.
Like, who knows? So, again, just tough to judge, right? Because you don't want Alvain just to pull the trigger on, like, I don't want just a first and a C prospect for JT Miller, right? No. You have to make something work and fill some gaps. And if he didn't have an offer that he thought was fair, then good for him for not taking it.
Exactly. He said JT Miller was the best player on our team last year, and he was for a big stretch of the season. Like, he was driving the bus, even when Bo kind of had his little bit of lull in points. JT Miller's driving the bus.
Yeah.
So we need him on the team. If we don't get anything serious, we'll keep him 100%.
Yeah, it'd be tough, right? I know, you got to re-sign him. That's the only thing.
And we don't have the money to re-sign JT Miller.
If you could sign him for like 4 years at 7, I'm like, let's bring him back.
Yeah.
But it's, he's going to want a lot.
Yeah, and term too. That's the biggest problem with this deal.
Yeah, I have a tough time giving a 30-year-old guy 7 years. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move on to our next segment here. We're going to go over our projected lineups for the Canucks roster going into next year. We haven't really discussed this with one another yet, so it's all we'll just kind of go back and forth with it. This could include players being shipped out or
just
not on the team. So
this is with what we have now.
I kind of went with...
You kind of went with some fantasy draft stuff?
Well, a little bit. Nothing like crazy.
No, I like it.
So my roster does not include JT Miller.
All right.
I haven't had any fantasy picks coming back in.
Okay.
But this is what I have. My top line is Garland, Petey, Boeser.
Ooh.
I love Garland and Petey together.
Me too.
I love Petey and Boeser together.
Yeah.
I just think this line works. I think...
Well, and Petey had that no-look backhand pass right to Garland's tape where he scores that goal. It's like there's some chem there.
And Garland is an underrated setup man too. Petey is an all-around good player. Best can score goals like a motherfucker.
That's actually a cool line, and I like it.
My second line, I have Bo Horvat, Niels Höglander, and Andrei Kuzmenko. Okay. I like the pairing of Kuzmenko and Bo. I feel like Kuzmenko is a big-time playmaker. Horvat is just a goal scorer. Like,
he is.
And a good one, too.
He needs a dish master on his line.
And him and Höglander have chemistry, too. I think this one fits.
Him and Hogs have a similar type game.
They do,
They're a hard-nosed player that's hard to get the puck off their stick.
Yeah.
And they make good passes. So
my third line, Wes, you're probably not going to like this very much. I have Ilya Mikheyev, Jason Dickinson, and Vasily Podkolzin.
I'm not... When it's Pods and Mikheyev, I'm not mad at that at all.
I like that pairing.
It's just Jason Dickinson.
I see, and we differ on this. I'm not saying Jason Dickinson is going to come in and have an amazing season. I'm going to give him another chance, though.
He was a big letdown for me. I don't know why I expected so much. I expected a lot out of him.
I thought he was just going to be a capable third line centerman. He wasn't. He wasn't that at all.
He got kicked out of the dot. You're playing the wing.
Yeah.
You were hired as a center. That drives me nuts. But whatever. You can't even play your own position. But
my fourth line, I have William Lockwood, Curtis Lazar, Tanner Pearson. So that's my forward group.
I heard a lot of people throwing Lockwood in already, and I was kind of surprised by that, honestly.
I just don't see really who else is going to compete with him. Maybe a Sheldon Dries if he's...
Well, he's a centerman too.
But you can always slide him over to the wing, right?
Yeah, that's true. And Lazar, I think, is maybe...
I think Lazar's a lock for the fourth line.
Yeah.
And then Pearson, Pearson, I think he'll be traded to at some point.
I hope so, man. He's paid too high for a fourth line guy, and I think there's teams out there that could use a Tanner Pearson in a higher slot. Maybe a third line guy.
I see him as a third line guy.
Yeah.
I don't see him as a fourth liner. It's just kind of the way the roster worked out for me.
Yeah. And like I said, like I don't have a hatred for Tanner Pearson or nothing. I know I chirp him every time we have a pod, but it's because I just feel like he shouldn't be playing with Bo.
He's the opposite of what Rutherford and Alvan want to, right? They want fast.
Yeah.
And Pearson is not fast.
No.
On defense, I have Quinn Hughes, Luke Shen.
Woohoo! Let's go!
OEL, Tyler Myers.
Yeah.
Jack Rathbone, Travis Dermott.
It's pretty locked up. I have the exact same D pairing.
Really?
Exact same.
Yeah, I just don't think... Who else are you going to play with Quinn, right?
We signed a couple D-men, but, like, who knows? You know what I mean? Our D pairings kind of worked last year. And, I mean, if you throw Rathbone in the mix with Dermott, I think that could be something special, too.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the way you have to go with the D pairing right now.
And my biggest thing, right, is you can't play Myers with Quinn Hughes just because I don't think Myers has the hockey IQ to do that.
No.
Because Quinn will jump into the rush and so will he. And then we'll get burned.
Now Shen and Huggy, like they have Cam, like they know how each other play. So they'll cover each other in areas where they know which guy's going to get there, which guy's not going to get there, who's going to pass the puck where. They can read off each other well.
I remember Luke Shen jumping into the rush like once last year. So
exactly.
Let Quinn run the offense, Shen will run the defense, and they complement each other.
Exactly.
Then in net, we talked about this off camera. It's the clearest roster positions on this team. That Jurdemko starter, Spencer Martin backup.
There's no other option. I can't wait to see Martin as our backup goalie because he got a point in every single game he played for us. Like, I think we're a guaranteed playoff team with these two goalies. I don't see any other way.
Guaranteed is a strong
I'm
word
guaranteeing it. I'm guaranteeing it.
Ugh.
We almost squeaked in.
I know.
And that was with Halak, who
Calgary's worse right now. Like
a lot of teams are.
Vegas, I'm not big on Vegas. I don't like their team, but also like it just feels like some weird shit is going on there. They got some bad juju.
Yeah, there is. Ever since they acquired Jack, man, it seems like their team kind of took a little bit of a downhill slide this year, which is good for us because they're kind of a pain in the ass to play sometimes.
And their goaltending situation is kind of up in the air too. Like, I'm not a big believer in Vegas. Edmonton's got to be just as good, if not better.
I think so too. They got confidence now. They made it really far in the playoffs.
They have a pretty solid forward. I mean, obviously, when you have McDavid and Draisaitl, you have a good forward group, but I feel like they've fleshed it out a little bit more too. So
100%.
A lot depends on Jack Campbell.
But honestly, their goalie situation was an absolute disaster.
Yes.
I think Jack Campbell's the safe route for them.
I think so too. And I think I see both the Toronto and Edmonton signings of goalies.
Yeah.
I see the point of each of those two.
Yeah.
You have to wait and see, right? Like, both of them are a gamble. Toronto obviously couldn't bring back Campbell at 5 for 5.
Yep.
And, he played, that was his first year as a starter, and he had some ups and downs. The highs were really high, the lows were pretty low.
Yeah.
So,
kind of like Mike Smith.
And I'm not ready to write off a guy after 1 year as a starter.
No.
Right? Like, that's kind of like a learning curve.
It's kind of like Demko this year.
Yeah. And who knows? Like, maybe Campbell is just a solid goalie for the whole duration of his contract.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting one for me.
Yeah, no, 100%.
All right. Your forward group, Wes.
I have Miller in the lineup because it sounds like he's going to be at camp, so I had to toss him in there. I got the Lotto line kicking it off. Yep. You can't go any different than that.
It's hard to break up that.
100%. And then because Mikheyev is paid what he is, I'd like to see him on the second line to start out. We'll see how he does. Go with Bo, Garley on the right wing, and then Mikheyev on the left wing.
Interesting combo. There's some speed there.
Yeah, and I'd like to see that line, just see what they can do, because I know what Garland's going to do. I know what Bo's going to do. Let's see what Mikheyev can do on that line. And he's the type of guy, like Bo is a kind of a chip and chase guy sometimes. Mikheyev's got the speed to chip and chase it down himself and dish it out to Bo, and boom.
And those guys are all pretty relentless on the puck too, so you can go get it back for sure.
Exactly.
Not a bad line.
No, and then this was the hardest part for me, was the third and the fourth line, because there's some guys here that are really interchangeable. You're going to laugh probably, but I've got Dickinson, Pods, and Hogs. And The reason I have that is because I feel like Pods is the goal scorer, obviously, on that line, and then Hogs is like the chip and chase, kind of like grimy in the corners, plays in the gutters a little bit, can dish the puck out front to Pods. And Dickinson, you're useless, but he'll fit in somewhere there. And then that's where it got really tough, because I've got Pearson on the left wing on the fourth line. I've got Lazar at center, obviously, and I spelt laser. I don't know why I did that. But I've got Kuzmenko on the fourth line, and we know he's not going to be on the fourth line.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
We're so deep, and I love these guys, and I don't really have like a extreme love for Kuzmenko yet because I haven't really seen him play.
Yeah. So
I had to put my boys on the third line, but obviously he's not playing fourth line minutes. I think Hogs, Kuzmenko, Pods, and Mikheyev are the most interchangeable pieces on any of those lines.
Yeah, you can kind of put them anywhere.
All of those guys will kind of switch here and there, but I want to see Garland, Poe, Petey, Best, Miller locked up in the top lines.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Garland on the third line anymore like we were last season. I think he's the second to first line player. You leave him there. Let him get used to playing with these guys. That's it.
And like the hard part too, right, is we do have a traffic jam up at forward. Like, somebody has to go. We're over the cap. Like there has to be a trade coming at some point. So it's hard to project lineups like that too. I think it's Pearson also.
Yeah, you're out of here.
So
Dickinson,
if you can find a partner,
that's it's hard to find a team that wants a guy like that. You got kicked out of the dot. Who wants a centerman who can't play center?
But like we talked about on the last offseason episode, you can fix that. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm a firm believer that face-offs you can teach.
You have some of the best face-off guys in the league on the team.
Yeah.
Drop the puck. Just drop it. Dickinson versus Bo.
I'm pretty sure we talked about this at the start of last
2
year
hours.
too. Like,
just Bo and Dickinson. Just like going in.
Take all your center and just have them go. Like, Miller, obviously, and Bo are your two best guys.
Yeah.
Just keep throwing your two worst guys at them and be like, figure it out.
Which, it's funny that I keep putting Petey at center, but like, he needs experience at center. I think that's kind of the position they want him to play.
I think he's a full-time center.
Yeah.
I don't think
which I think JT Miller is honestly the better centerman right now, like just for face-offs
For face-offs alone, yes.
Yeah, but it's like Petey just fills out the entire role more. Yeah. So
I would say, and I don't mean this any offense to JT Miller, I think Petey's a smarter hockey player.
Oh, 100%.
And I think you have to be that to be a center.
Yeah.
Just the way you have to play at both ends of the ice. Yeah. And just like all the tactics of taking face-offs. But that's where Miller is great at that too, right? Like, he's good at that, and he's relentless.
What I love about Miller is he does not stop talking. Once he lines up to the dot, he's mental warfare on the referee and his opponent. I love that from JT Miller. He does not shut up, and I love that. He's just trying to constantly get in your head. He's getting in the ref's head like, no, he's cheating. Look at him. Yeah. Look at his hand position. Look at his stick. He's already cheating. And then the ref starts favoring JT Miller, and then he drops the puck. Boom, we win the faceoff. I love it.
Miller is a big time talker. He and Bieksa talked about this too on, I can't remember which podcast, the Canucks Hour podcast, I think, where he reminds him a lot of Ryan Kessler.
Yeah.
And I see the similarities too, as far as like
strong
personalities.
Yeah.
Like
strong personalities.
Different players on the ice.
Yeah.
But very similar, like just grumpy, cranky American centers who like nobody wants to play against them because they play a hard-nosed, mean, clean game.
100%.
Yeah, so it'll be still waiting for a couple things to go down as far as the Canucks go. Like I expect a trade or two. Like
we have to.
Yeah, there's just way too many forwards. Like, one of them has to go.
Yeah.
Defense, there's been some talks like here or there, like the Canucks were in on Marino, allegedly, I don't know, but he got traded to the Devils, and so who knows now.
What I don't really like is the narrative out there that our defense needs so much work. Like, I get it. We could use a right-handed defenseman, no doubt about it, like a really good one. But other than that, like, honestly, our D's not that weak. Like, our D is better than people think.
The biggest thing to me, though, is that you need a top guy to play with Hughes.
Yeah,
that's almost
and that's that right hand center,
and that's,
or right hand defense.
Yeah, and that's just why it's such a big deal, right? Yeah. Like, if you can bump Shen down to the third pairing, and you find your Devon Taves, then that I'm very happy with that defense. Yeah. Right? Like, would I like to see Tyler Myers play 20 minutes a night? No.
No. But also, like, if Tyler Myers didn't make the money he made, we wouldn't be talking so poorly about him.
Yeah, honestly, if he was like 3.5, I'd be pretty happy with him.
I think he's a $4 million defenseman.
But he got $6 million for one goal last year. So
yeah,
score a fucking goal, Myers.
Yeah, and I think OEL and him are due for more goals, honestly. Like, I think they're going to get more shots through this year. OEL was definitely snake bitten. There's no doubt about that.
I feel like the first half of the season, he was getting shots through at an incredible rate, and just nothing was going in for him.
100%. And Tyler Myers just needs to work on the power on his shot a little bit, I feel like.
He's a big guy. He should be able to rip a puck.
Yeah, I feel like he kind of lets some muffins go. And a lot of wristers start letting that clapper go. People get intimidated when that big man winds up like that. They think, Chara slap shot's coming in.
In the way of that.
Work on your power a little bit. You'll get more goals, 100%.
And it's almost impossible to not. Like, if he scores one goal again this year,
he's done.
I don't know what to say about that. It's almost impossible for him to do that. Like, you just have to throw pucks on net.
Yeah.
Like,
and not muffins.
Yeah. Even muffins. Like, you
deflection muffins.
You see it happen, like, once a night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and him and JT Miller, for some reason, have Cam throw it on his tape. He'll deflect it in. No doubt about it.
This is your new Connor Garland. Gets knocked down easy. Is this Myers JT Miller thing?
Man, I feel like there's chem there. I don't know why.
there could be. Who knows?
Yeah.
But obviously Miller needs to do more to set him up for some goals and give him some empty net tap-ins here, JT.
Yeah.
We need some fucking goals from the big man.
100%.
Also, happy birthday, Oliver Ekman-Larsson.
Happy birthday, bud.
And he's another guy too that they've talked about. Like, if you can play him and Quinn Hughes together, which
I don't really want to see it.
I don't mind it. It just all depends if OEL can play the right side.
Yeah, I like him on the left, and I like him on the second line as well because it just gives us more depth. Like, Quinn Hughes doesn't want to be on the ice fucking 30 minutes a night.
I think he does. I think he absolutely does.
Yeah, but I mean, it's one of those things. You don't want to burn the kid out.
No.
He's a young kid still. Like, we're already fucking playing the shit out of him.
He gets big minutes.
It's crazy, man. The fact he didn't have like a Niels Hoglander type injury this year is crazy because he was pumping those legs all season long.
But that's also, he's got kind of the Patrick Kane thing, right? Where he's just so elusive. You
He's
can't
so
really
smart.
hit him.
He's so smart.
He doesn't put himself in stupid spots.
And he sees every person on the ice. He knows where everyone is at all times, so he doesn't get hit like big hits ever.
Like, same thing. I remember him getting hit once, right? And then Shen comes in and him and Ben fight.
Yep. That's the thing. You lay Quinn down in the corner, guess who's coming in to knock your fucking head in.
But, so if OEL can play the right side, right, I feel like that just kind of helps things out a little bit. Because I don't think OEL's a top pair right D-man. But
no, and I feel like if you put him there, you have to play them for so many minutes.
They're probably 25 minutes a night. But
And
I think that's Quinn Hughes' average, right?
They can play that, no doubt about it. It's just I feel like if you keep the depth with the second line OEL, you can just run those back to back. You don't fuck the third pairing. You don't even really have to play them that much.
No, yeah, like you can give them like 10, 15 a night.
100%. Just roll those two and keep them fresh.
But if you have OEL on the right with Hughes, then you have Myers and like Dermott or Shen, right?
So good.
And you can rotate, or Rathbone if he's good, right? You can rotate things in there.
And that's the funny thing. Like, I feel like if Shen's not with Quinn, he's third line.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Like,
he just has chemistry with him.
Yeah.
He's got that JT Miller, Tyler Myers thing going on there.
100%.
But, I just think that's something interesting that I wouldn't mind seeing. Like, I didn't watch much OEL in Arizona unless they were playing the Canucks. But I don't know if he can play the right side. But if that's an option, I want to see it.
Yeah.
Like, Quinn Hughes and OEL, that seemed like a pretty... On paper, that's pretty solid to me.
Oh, 100%. Because, like, OEL, no matter what anyone says about him, he can play either shutdown, he can play power play. He's kind of a Swiss Army knife D-man.
Underrated all around.
100%. Like, he's sound everywhere. So I wouldn't be mad at it, but I like that depth when you have him on the second line.
Yeah, and even then, right, you can split them up, right? It's not even game to game. You can.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You can mess with it. Like, that's one of those things that Travis Green wasn't scared to do. I feel like he almost did it too much. It was kind of out of fault of the team. You got to let guys build chem, but you can also play around with that a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so good roster talk. One last thing before we shut down the podcast here today. It was just announced today, Mikey DiPietro signed his qualifying offer with the Canucks 1 year. His agent got permission to look for a trade. So obviously him and the organization both feel it's best for him to find a different team and get a fresh start. Yeah. Kind of sucks. He got really screwed over by COVID. Like, if you look at his career, like, he's a winner at every level.
No, 100%. And he got shafted when he had to come in for us. It was not the right time.
Yeah, like
he kind of got thrown to the wolves
twice.
Yeah,
and it does suck, right? Like I think he doesn't have a bad attitude about it. I think he's I don't know him obviously, but everything I've seen, he seems like a great person.
Mm-hmm.
And like I have faith in him that he's going to be an NHL goalie. Probably a backup, but still, like
doesn't matter.
I think he'll make the show.
It's funny because goalies are a hot commodity right now. Like it's hard to find good goalies, man. So it's like it's one of those things. He could definitely be a backup.
Yeah. Oh, it is kind of a luxury thing for the Canucks to have too, especially Demko at $5 million.
Yeah.
Like that's
there's a lot of teams like Edmonton with their gambles, Toronto with their gambles.
Yeah.
And those are supposed to be like two teams that. Like, they made it pretty far, man. Yeah. Like, they should have good goalies locked up, and they don't.
Everything, aside from goaltending, would you rather have Demko at 5 for 5, Campbell at 5 for 5, or Matt Murray at 2 for 6, whatever he makes?
Dog shit.
I'm taking Demko all day.
All day long. He's the better goalie of the three, no doubt about it. Even if he was sick as a dog, he plays better than both of them, so...
Yeah, yeah, so it's that contract, like, if the Canucks manage to build a solid team, is going to be huge.
Yeah.
One of the better ones that Jim Benning signed. So thank you for that one, Benning. I'll take that as your parting gift.
Kind of perfect timing, too, the way he kind of had Markstrom kind of mentoring him. He had Braden Holtby come in, Stanley Cup goalie. Like, he's just been groomed the right way from day one, it seems, and now he's just a monster.
Yeah. Only thing, like, I think you could have brought him into the show a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
I think he stayed in the AHL maybe a year too long, but who cares?
Yeah.
It's the same thing Detroit used to do, right? They were so good that they could let their prospects cook until they were the best player in the AHL. Yeah. Bring them in, and they're good players in the NHL. There's no
They have the confidence. Yeah.
But yeah, just a little thing, like if Mikey DiPietro leaves the organization, I hope he finds a good team and, he gets to play, because I think that's been the hardest thing for him. He just has had no ice time in the last 2 years.
Yeah, so. Spencer Martin kind of stole his spot. And
And then, like we said, COVID, like, maybe affected Mikey DiPietro the worst out of any player in the AHL.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't think he played a game in like 12 months or something, or like very rarely. So
yeah.
Whatever happens, Mikey DiPietro, we wish you all the best.
Yep.
I wish your 2 games as a Canuck went a lot better than they did.
Yeah.
I wish the organization would have treated you better. So that one I feel is kind of like a mark on the Canucks.
It's a bruise, yeah.
And not necessarily the current regime, right? It's the Benning.
No, 100%. So. It's a little bit of a black eye, but I mean, not a lot of people are talking about it, so it's good that he just brought some light to it.
Yeah. Yeah, and he seems like a character guy. So
yeah.
I think that'll pretty much do it for this off-season episode. Canucks off-season episode 2 in the bag. Good one, Wes.
Another one in the bag.